Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth. I'm gonna put on an iron shirt and chase Satan out of earth. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race.
Greetings, great people, or great Abyssinian people. Today, we have a look at the solitary solution for our total liberation in relationship to other solutions put forward by some of our think tankers. Ever since emancipation, the captured people of Africa have been living under the rule and direction of Caucasians. And all throughout this time, we have been seeking and implementing various ways to be truly free, but full freedom have always eluded us. Our black think tankers, they talk about our economic crisis, potential financial products, business, engineering, and manufacturing economy, structural conditions and adjustments. They talk about an awakening, about getting back to basics, to develop a revolutionary momentum and using social media. They even include the need for diplomacy, diversification, and various other programs like self-sufficiency, liberation, intellectual and political sophistication. They talk about all of that and more. They talk about developing a financial system that would enable us to break away from the US dollar, from the IMF and the World Bank. They talk about an African currency backed up by gold and diamonds, backed up by water and other natural resources, concluding that this would reduce or eliminate the dependency, control, and financial benefits Europe now reap from the continent. Our professionals write books, produce DVDs, CDs, and make documentaries. They appear on radio and TV where they carefully and methodically explain all that is needed to fix our people and our society. They are correct, but in only one aspect. Because they have been educated by modern Babylon and thus feed from the present Babylonian system of employment, they are only capable of putting forward tempered solutions acceptable to the slave master that would fall within the confines of their democratic and capitalistic platforms. Our think tank heads only talk about rebuilding, but nothing about defense. In the solutions they provide, they totally ignore the creation of instability by those who have been destabilizing our continent for the last 3,000 years. They skip over the question of what will the oppressor be doing while we are rebuilding? Well, what have they done in the past? Will they be watching and helping and cheering us on? Or will they be actively planning on how and when to take us down again? What has been totally disregarded in this whole solution-oriented process is the fact that Europe has made it clear that they will not tolerate unity in Africa. And the solutions presented by some of our Western educated think tankers who are thinking within the box is dependent on one thing and one thing only. For their African development program to succeed as they describe it, it would require the slave master's children to leave us alone to prosper. They must remember we are not a new people. Some say we are the first people. Our society was destroyed by terrorists from Europe. So the rebuilding process would require the slave master's children to not destabilize us as he has been doing for the last 3,000 years. This would require him to undergo a change of heart. Has that ever been known to happen? If so, when? The European has never conceded anything without losing in a struggle. So if our talking heads have any kind of evidence that the Caucasian has changed his ways and his objectives, they should tell us and not keep it a secret among themselves. One professor said recently, it's all about the state of our consciousness. That if we think we have no power, then we have none. He went on to talk about the decline of American power all over the world, in Vietnam, in Korea, in Iraq. He spoke of former powers like Greece, Rome, and Britain. But what he failed to acknowledge is that all of them are the same people. They are all Caucasians, and they all behave in the same manner towards us. So the transfer of power from one slave master to another means nothing to us. It makes no difference in how we're treated. All of them are equal opportunity exploiters. When the British took Jamaica from the Spanish in 1655, the abuse of enslaved Africans did not stop. In 1963, Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana, Nnamdi Azikiwe from Nigeria, Haile Selassie from Ethiopia, Julius Nyerere from Tanzania, and other presidents formed the Organization of African Unity, the OAU, to resist European domination of Africa. In July 2002, Europe used ex-President Mbeki of South Africa to dissolve the OAU, and a watered-down African Union was put in its place. They knew they could influence Mbeki since he authorized and attended the state funeral of P.W. Botha, the white butcher of South Africa. You see, the word unity is very powerful, and so as not to further encourage the African into the practice of that word, their organization was renamed. These modern-day think tankers don't know who they're dealing with. Christopher Columbus, John Hawkins, Bartholomew Diaz, and other pirates did not attend university. But these are the kind of guys who represent those nice white folks who our think tankers met in school. These think tankers might even accommodate the thought that slavery ended because white folks had a change of heart. They did not. It ended because they were losing property, money, and relatives every day on the plantations. So what did the slave master's children do in 1921 to Black Wall Street in the US? What did the children of the slave master do to the rebuilding efforts of Marcus Garvey in 1923? How about the town of Afriqueville in Nova Scotia, Canada in 1964? What did they do on all three occasions? They destroyed our attempts at nation building. That's what they did. What did they do to the Black Panther Party and other black organizations whose original program was feeding and teaching the unfortunate in their communities? The leaders were imprisoned and killed, and the membership left in confusion. Our capabilities are without question. Our efforts are unlimited. Our desires are achievable. There is nothing wrong with us. Our mental capacity is functioning at a high level. We have a deep sense of spirituality and morality, and we have high regards for family, community, and all other forms of life on earth. Our competence to build and develop a nation is obvious. The real question is, when are we going to develop a defensive program or purchase a weapon powerful enough to deter those who seek to rob and wage war against us, so as to steal our natural resources and to get their way as they did in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Libya, on the Ivory Coast, and everywhere else on the motherland? We must understand that the enemy have no intention of allowing us to access our natural resources in order to rebuild. so we will have to secure access without his approval. He is a genetic, criminal-minded, self-serving monster, and that's why Kwame Nkrumah said in 1963, "Freedom is not a commodity which is given to the enslaved upon demand. It is the precious reward, the shining trophy of struggle, sacrifice, blood and guts." So building schools, universities and technological centers sounds good. It echoes nobly in speeches, but it's not the solution today. Amilcar Cabral from Guinea said, "The only solution is to take up arms." That's what he said. And after that, we should never put them down. Look what happened to Charles Taylor when he transferred himself from a freedom fighter using the laws of self-preservation to a politician using the laws of Westminster. We don't need more theories or academic rationalizations. The European terrorists have not changed. He will never change. The terrorists are depending on us not to fight back, but to wait for the return of the Jesus they told us about, and some of our ancestors have been waiting for hundreds of years. So far, nothing. We are the only ones dying. Our cities and villages are the only ones destroyed, leaving our people in turmoil, running here and there from weapons made in Europe. In the meantime, Europe remains calm and peaceful, a place where people go to work and play without fear of attack from drones or artificial diseases. Now is not the time to think academically or to implement any development programs. We have done all that, and the enemy has destroyed or taken over all of them for his use. We have no planned defense against him, and we do not plan any attack against him either. We're like sitting ducks in a pond or birds in the open sky. The European terrorists did not defeat Shaka Zulu the first time they waged war against him using cannons. The terrorists were defeated a few times, and after each victory, Shaka Zulu would return to community affairs. Shaka Zulu dealt with the attacks as they came and obviously did not spend any time developing weapons. He was developing and implementing engineering systems of benefit to the community. So the terrorists came back with the blunderbuss. Then they came with the Raman fire. Then the 6-shooter. Then the long rifle. Then finally they came back with the Gatling machine gun. This gun fired 1,000 bullets a minute. Shaka still had the same spear and shield. It was over. It's time we take action because, as Brother Cabral said, we are at war, and in the meantime we're taking action to keep the slave masters' children busy. Since China is interested in Africa, President Mugabe must develop a nuclear program with China's assistance as a condition for investment in Africa. And if any leader allows the entry of China before such is agreed to, President Mugabe should also have a secret policy to remove those leaders from power one way or the other permanently. We need nuclear power today. If countries like North Korea, Pakistan and Israel can have the nuclear bomb, why can't big Africa? The only thing that will deter those wanting to do as they please in Abyssinia is knowing that we have the capability to send them back into the Stone Age if they pass their place. Ashe.
I know nothing see me walk in a room and start a fire. And I know nothing see me walk in a room and start a fire. God, them I wonder how a little African I go burn down the whole in a Vatican, but I know nothing see me walk in a room